Good Monday evening, everybody. How are you on this fine Monday? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War, co-host of Music and Mayhem with Skylar Ray, and also messing with Manny Vitale, which I gotta start doing more. I keep forgetting that it's got a name now.
Yeah.
Which is basically the lives that I do all the time. But now because of the what's that called? The distribution company that we now have doing stuff for us, we needed a title. So now messing with Manny Vitale. And Marla, how are you? We are having a heck of a day here in Detroit, Michigan. Beautiful day, a little windy.
Mm-hmm.
It's Monday, April the 21st.
Yep.
Woo! Hey,
You got
and
it.
it's 7:04. Getting better. And I hope you guys are having a good day. And before we get things rolling, definitely, kind of just get our thoughts and prayers out there. We lost Pope Francis today.
Mm-hmm.
And all days right after Easter. So thoughts and prayers are definitely with the Pope and everybody's family, friends, everyone around the world. And that being said, I hope you guys had a great weekend and a wonderful, happy, blessed Easter with your family as well. So it's time to get this party started.
Okay, let's
and
party.
To do that, we got to get, you know who?
Hey.
OG.
Hey.
OG.
Here I am, ready to take notes.
She's ready to get her carpal tunnel fired up.
And see all the comments.
I was on earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I keep forgetting I'm in scheduling purgatory. I'm
yes,
not allowed.
You are.
So here I'm ready to get on top of things. I'm like, we are going to do a show with Peter Weber tonight. And then I know there's something Tuesday, I think. And then Wednesday we got Music and Mayhem. And then I think, so I have no idea what we're doing. I'm going to leave that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But
thank you.
Yeah, today, man, tonight.
Hey, Donald.
I'm very, very happy to have our guest coming on, Peter Weber, who was, he was checking out the show too. He's a friend of the one and only Donald Blow, who basically blew the roof off with his story. And I see Donald there now. So Donald, thank you for your story. Tricia, thank you for being on here. And it's time for Peter Weber.
Yay!
Peter,
Peter!
How are you?
There you are.
Hey, man. I haven't talked to you in about 30 seconds. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, man. So you're in Maine, right?
Yes.
Man, so how's the weather there?
It was like 60 degrees today.
Was it? I know. Were you part of the service, the sunrise yesterday with that Donald, the sunrise service?
No.
Oh, okay, because I saw bits and parts of his post, but I wasn't sure how the weather was there. Yeah, it was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us all your stories of the dark sides of addiction and, of course, the amazing side of recovery.
Yes.
And as everyone knows, OG is going to be doing her thing. And
got my phone
Peter,
ready.
just so you know as well, if anybody has any comments, any questions for Peter, for me, OG, for Wonder Dog Susie,
I'll interrupt.
Let us
Just
know,
like I
please. The more interaction, the better. That's why we're here. We want to hear from everybody. The more interaction, the better. So please, if there's any questions at all, comments, concerns, that's why we're here, man. So OG,
see you later.
Time to go bye-bye. And now, me and Peter. So what's new? What's going on?
Oh, not much.
Yeah.
I'd like to start off first of let's have a moment of silence for the people that are still out there that are not able to make it to this meeting, or anyone that are able to make it here. Let's take a moment of silence for them real quick.
Okay.
Sure. Amen, man. That's
Thank
a
you.
lot. We have a lot of people. We've got a lot of people here. Thank God that are here because of recovery.
Yes.
We've got a lot of people struggling, and as you just said, there's a lot of people that are in the grips of this hell, and we know it too well. And that's why you're here to share your story. So again, I've said it many times already, but I really appreciate you coming on. And I mean, these are, we're total strangers,
Mhm.
up until now. And then, like I always tell people, we are one hello from meeting our new best friend. And our family, that's us. We're here to
Yep.
help each other. So again, thank you for that. And so you're in Maine. Have you lived there your whole life?
I lived here and my whole life.
Okay. So boy, Maine, that's where that remember that movie, the Perfect Storm or whatever it was. Not Perfect Storm. There was some show. We'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
But
With the boat, fishing
but
boat, right?
anyways,
Yeah.
no, not that one.
No, okay.
But this is about you and your story. And a lot of times you hear people with their story, and sometimes, I mean, it starts from day one, man, from the first memories they have. For you, how was it for you? How was your childhood, and how was growing up for Peter Weber?
My childhood was not really that good. I grew up in a not a average home. We struggled to put food on the table. We struggled to keep food in the house. I was molested from the age 2 to all the way up until I was 13 years old. So my childhood wasn't really good. One of my abusers ended up putting a gun to my head and told me if I told anybody he was going to shoot me. So my childhood really wasn't that good.
Well, I mean, it sounds pretty freaking horrific. Now, from 2 years old till 13, this person obviously was someone, that is this someone in the family, or is this something if you don't want to talk about it, we totally get it.
Um, at age 2, it was my babysitter. And then it was a family friend, and then it was my brother.
Oh, dear
Wow.
God, man. Peter, I speak for pretty much all of us. Very sorry, and thank God you're here. And
Yes. And
so
all because of that, at age 13, I had a jump rope wrapped around my neck, ready to hang myself because I couldn't deal with the pain anymore. But
Whoa.
thank God my mother and my father found me before I decided to hang myself, or I wouldn't have been here.
Now, Peter, this started at 2 years old.
Yes.
And it was the babysitter, and then ended up being obviously a sibling.
Yep.
Did anyone, as far as family members, how did they find out, or did they find out, or how did that come about?
Eventually I kind of spoke up and said something about it because I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I ended up saying something to my parents, and then DHS ended up getting involved. So my brother and my sister got taken out of the house. I lived with my parents, just me, for a year and a half. So yeah, it was rough.
Wow.
And so obviously you came forward to your parents.
Yep.
What was the response when you told them this?
They were, how can I say it? They were dumbfounded. They didn't know that it was happening. And they didn't know that it was happening that long.
Oh, man. Well,
Wow.
with any type, when there's any type of abuse, a lot of time, this is coming as a former officer, there's the use and threat of authority or violence. So if it's, especially if it's someone older, they use that as, like, my age against your age, or
Mhm.
God forbid, just like you, with the threat of having a gun put to your head. And how old were you when that happened?
I was either 4 or 5 years old.
Whoa.
Good Lord, man.
So
Well, as you
young.
said, thank God you're still here. Well, I mean, that alone, I mean, so they're removed from the house, you're there. How does that proceed?
I actually got to spend the one-on-one time that I needed with my parents at that time for so long. And it kind of brought me closer to my mother and my father when I lived there for so long, because they were so worried about wanting to take care of me. They wanted to make sure that I had what I needed. They wanted to make sure that I was taken care of and everything. So that's what they were trying to do for like a year and a half. And then I ended up going away for a year and a half into I spent probably 6 months in a crisis unit. And then after that, I ended up going away for a year and a half just to try to help myself from what I went through, to at least help myself when I got into my childhood to figure out what I wanted.
Froze up a little bit here. This.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you back?
Are you there?
You're
There you
back.
are.
Okay, you're
It just
back.
froze
You're
for a
back.
second.
So was this a decision to go away? You said to get help for yourself.
Yes.
This was a decision that you made, or was
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was my decision because I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't handle all of that hurt and mislove that I thought I had from the people that said that they loved me, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. So I needed to get the help that I needed for myself at that time.
Good.
Man, I tell you
Good.
what, it's such a young age. I mean, and it doesn't matter. I mean, when you need help, obviously you need to get it. But for you to be put in that position at such a young age, man, and to have the wherewithal to do it, that says a lot about you.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something. With that all being said, I mean, that right there, people sometimes ask, well, how did drugs or alcohol come into your life? I mean, right there, you talk about a platform to dive in from. When, how old were you when your first experience with drugs, alcohol, or anything like that?
I was 14 years old when I first smoked my first joint.
Okay.
Mhm.
That was the first thing that your first step into the wonderful world of addiction, huh? What were you, as far as you? It was smoking weed. What else
Yep.
was where
I
did that
was
lead you?
right around my teenage years. I was smoking weed, and I was just getting just getting into drinking.
Mhm.
At 14?
Yes.
Now, is this something like your buddies, people that you hung out with? Was that around with them, or?
Yes, because I was 14, and the girlfriend that I had at the age of 14, she was 2 years older than me. So she was like 16, almost 17. So I kind of went with her so I could fit in with the crowd that she was hanging out with.
Okay, and that's where more so with the drinking and drugs are more more prevalent that way.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did that go? I mean, you started at 14 smoking weed and started your introduction into alcohol. How did that progress?
I when I first smoked that first joint, it mellowed my head out, it mellowed everything in my mind, it mellowed my whole body, and I was like, "Ooh, this is what I've been looking for this whole time." And
Uh-oh.
then when you top it off with the alcohol, and you don't feel nothing, and you don't have to look at the world, you're like, "Oh yes, this is what I've been feeling for a little while." And I went for a long while smoking weed, and drinking. I drank and smoked weed all the way until I was 21 years old.
Yeah, so here you're drinking up until then, and that's when the drinking age starts, and you've already
Right,
been you're a
right.
seasoned veteran by then.
Yep,
But I mean, the thing is, some people get a little bit, not confused, but when they're talking about two people, about addiction, why, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And some people think just because you love the high and all that, which I mean, obviously is something that people do enjoy is the
right.
high. But for some people like yourself, it's a way to escape, man, to
Hmm.
to put those terrible things. I mean, obviously it's temporary, but
Right,
that's a way for you to kind of feel normal, I guess, for a short time.
right.
And so here it is.
And then in between at 14 and 21, I had my first son at age 15. I was 15 years old, and he was born 2 months before my 16th birthday.
Ooh.
Wow, man, I tell you what, when it comes to how was your childhood, they're really, I mean, you jump from child yourself right into being, I mean, you don't know how to be a dad. There's people in
Right.
their 20s and 30s who don't know how to be dads, and here you are 15.
Yep.
I mean, what happened? Where did you live? How did this whole thing work out?
Well, I was living at my mom and dad's house because I was still living with my mom and dad.
Mhm.
Because we'll just say that I lived up with my mom and dad until they died in 2016, which we'll get into that part.
Mhm.
But I lived with my mother. I was sitting at my house, hanging out. I was drunk off my ass. I mean, completely drunk off my ass, higher than a kite. And I get a phone call saying, "Hey, your son was just born at the emergency room."
Oof.
Who called?
What? What?
Who called you?
The baby's mother.
Okay.
And she's like, your son was just born. And I'm like, well, this is a bad time right now. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm drunk off my ass and I'm higher than a kite. There is no way I'm coming to a hospital right now to see my son.
Mm-mm.
You know, so, the shock, you know, and not only in your voice and your eyes right now, but ours as well. It almost sounds like, you know, you obviously knew she was pregnant, right?
Yes. Yes.
No, okay, because it was just like I didn't know if you guys were still together or not. But so here, you know, she has your son at 15 years old. So how's that conversation go with your mom and dad?
Well, my mom and dad told me I needed to start uh, learning how to be a dad and grow up and be a dad. And at that time, I wasn't ready to because I was just having my fun in my teenage years, just smoking my marijuana and drinking.
You were 15. You're
Right.
playing freaking video games, man. You're playing, and here and you're having issues with what happened to you. God forbid what happened to you.
Right.
So
Right.
that's got to be taken care of and addressed, which is not an overnight. Okay, Peter, you're fine now. I saw you for a week. I mean, so you got that. Now introduce drugs and alcohol at that age, and now all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you know, so for anyone to tell you, well, now Peter, you have to learn how to be a dad. That's just the silliest thing to say at 15. But I mean, God bless them. They're trying to get you some
Right.
type of guidance. So, you know, I'm not faulting anybody. Don't get me wrong. But so, you know, please go on. I mean, you got me with that one, Peter. I was not expecting to hear a 15-year-old dad here.
Yeah. We'll just say that I really wasn't around for his beginning of his life until he was probably, oh, I'd say probably a year old. I wasn't in his life because I chose to drink and do other things instead of growing up and being a father. So I seen him every now and then. The mother decided to keep him away from me, so I kind of didn't see him. The only time I got to see him is like if he was out walking around when it was summer and he walked by my house with his mother. That's the only time I got to see him.
Wow.
So how old when I mean, did she tell him about you? When's the first time you actually had you saw him as far as where he knew you were dad?
Yeah, he knew I was dad at the beginning.
Mhm.
But at the beginning of his life, it was his mother and her parents didn't want me to see the baby because I was still drinking and I was doing my things that I wanted to do. And their daughter was 18 years old. So they were trying to get her daughter to go the right path with having this baby and stuff. So it was kind of hard to try to see him at the beginning of his life.
Yeah, like I said, still here, you're still trying to get your life together. Man, so with all this going on, it kind of adds right on to all the pressure that you're under.
Right.
So when that happens, you know, as addiction, we know what happens then. Everything starts getting worse. How'd things go for you as far as the drugs and alcohol?
Well, we'll just say that I drank all the way up until I was 21. I got carried out of a bar at 21 years old. I was sitting on my brother's stoop, puking in a trash can, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm never doing this again. So, at that point, I stopped drinking. And at that point in my age, pain meds started coming around. So I started getting introduced to the oxycodones and all that other stuff like that. So then I started running with that for a little while, doing pain meds. And the first time that I did a pain med is the same feeling I had when I first smoked that first joint and I took that first sip of alcohol. So I went running with that for a while.
How long? Now, when you said at 21, you had that come to Jesus moment, you know, with the alcohol and puking, never again, never again.
Yep.
Did you drink after that?
Nope.
Really? So here,
Yep.
I mean, you know, just, and I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you here at this
Mhm.
point. You just turned 21, and that's when you decide to stop drinking.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm
Legal,
kind of, like I said, I'm laughing with you because my drinking and all that started pretty much consistently when I was 15. So, and going to
Yep.
the same bar, all the way 15 years old, going to the same bar when I turned 21 for my birthday, telling everyone it was my birthday. How old are you, man? 21. They're like, what? You must be coming. So Peter, so 21 years old, you decide to quit drinking. Now the pills come into play, and you know, I get you. You know, it's that temporary fix again.
Yep.
How long or how does that go? I mean, as far as you know, with the drugs and the pills, you know, anything with the kids, anything with anything movement there, or is it still you're kind of in limbo?
I'm still in a limbo. I did do pain meds for quite a while. And I did pain meds all the way up until I got introduced to heroin.
How old was that?
Oh, 18. No, wait a minute. 21. I was like 24 years old.
That was the first time, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Was this
Because
through,
I got with an older woman that was already doing heroin, and she's like, well, if you want a better fix than those pain meds, try this. So I was like, okay, let's try it, see how we do. So I took the first bump, and that was it.
kind of like that first hit off that first hit off that joint, that first drink, that first pill. You
Mhm.
got that you're like, oh, okay, something new, different kind of high, but it temporarily took that pain away.
Right.
And now are you still, but still no drinking from 21? Are you still doing
Nope.
the pills along with the heroin?
Yes.
So how long the heroin have hold of you?
Well, we'll say the heroin, the cocaine, and meth had me all the way from 24 to 29.
Man. Yeah, how's things going with the family, man? I mean, obviously they know about the the terrible abuse, so
Yep.
they know there's an issue. They
Yep.
know that their 15-year-old son is a dad.
Yep.
Now, are they aware of the issues with the drugs?
No.
Really? So I tell you, that's one thing about addicts. We are very good at hiding and manipulating.
Yes.
Up until it gets to the point where we're not able to anymore.
Yes.
And
the thing is like it was when I was in the phase of the pain meds. My mom and my dad were prescribed pain meds. My dad was prescribed 100 morphine 15s a month, and he had 100 morphine 60s a month. And then my mother, she was on oxycodone 15 milligrams, and she'd get 300 of them every 21 days. So right there, I have my supply.
Wow. They didn't know you were taking them from them?
No. No.
I just have to ask, with the morphine with your dad, did he have cancer or something? Why was he
My
getting
dad
morphine?
had a disc disease in his back.
Oh, okay.
Your Michael, can I leave this open? She's going to bed.
But yeah, he had a disc disease in his back, and then he used to be a mechanic and he was working on a Bobcat at work one day, and the boss hit the button and the shaft came down and cut his finger off. So he had numerous surgeries on that. So that's why he had all the pain meds.
Ouch.
Jeez, so just fit right in perfectly for someone who's looking for pills.
Yes.
And so with all this going on in your life, where are you living?
I'm still living with my parents.
Still there. And
Yep.
what's going on?
So we'll say we went in, like I said, I was doing heroin, cocaine, and heroin and cocaine I was doing when I first started my addiction with the heroin and the cocaine. I first started that. The meth came like towards the middle, towards the end. But in the beginning of my addiction, I lost both of my parents in 2016, 3 months apart.
Oh man.
So I lost my dad. I lost my mom first, and I watched her die right in front of me. The girl that I was dating at that time ended up giving CPR on her. So I watched my mom die right in front of me. And then with my dad, I sat up for 5 days straight with him because his heart was so broken, because when my mother died, my parents were still married. They were still married from the first time I was born. So by the time my mom died, they were married probably 30 years. So my dad was heartbroken because that was his wife of 30 years that he just lost. So I took care of my dad for 5 days, and I was going in and out of the hospital with him because he's like, oh, my heart hurts. My heart hurts. There's something wrong. So I take him up to the ER, and the ER is like, oh, well, here's an Ativan. You're just having separation from your wife. Go home. So I was like, all right, well, I was like, yeah, well, let's go home, try to get some sleep, and then we'll go from there. Well, he kept on saying, my heart hurts. My heart hurts. So I'd bring him back up. They give him another Ativan and say, go back home. You'll be all right. So about the 5th day, he finally woke up and he's like, oh, I'm going to run down to the doctor's office. I'm going to go grab my prescription. I'll be back. And I was like, all right, well, do you want me to go with you? And he's like, no. You've been up for 5 days straight, no sleep, taking care of me. Stay at home, take a nap on the couch. I'll just go down and I'll be right back. I was like, okay. So I stayed at home, took a nap, but when my dad left, I knew something was wrong because he didn't take his truck. He ended up taking my aunt's car.
Oh.
So I ended up taking a nap, and I get a knock at my door, and it's the police department in my town. I answer the door, and they're like, I just want to let you know that your dad is no longer here. I'm like, what do you mean he's no longer here? They're like, oh, well, he just had a major car accident on the way to the doctor's office. He rolled the car 3 times and hit a tree head on.
Oh
man.
And I was like, no, you're lying. You're lying to me right now.
yeah.
My dad told me he was going to be fine. He'd be back. They're like, no, he's no longer here. And at that point, my dad was my best friend. Like when my dad was alive and I was growing up, I did everything with my dad. I worked on cars with my dad. I used to go on motorcycle rides with my dad. We used to get on the motorcycle and go all the way up to North Conway for the day and just go for a motorcycle ride and back. And when he died, I dropped to the floor and I just bawled my eyes out. I didn't know what to do. I lost both of my parents. My mom died March 28th. My dad died June 29th.
Good God, man.
Ooh.
That's
Ooh.
that's a lot to deal with. You've definitely had a rough time, brother. I mean,
Yeah.
From the age, I'm just looking down here, from the age of 2.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
From the age of 2 up until 20, where we at 24 right now? About 24, all this happens in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry for your loss of your parents, obviously.
Thank you.
And again, people and that's why I really appreciate you coming on and all our guests that come on to share their stories, to let people know, the reasons, because a lot of times you'll hear why do you do this? Why do you do that? And there's no one answer. But you and other people that are chiming in here, are sharing your same, sentiment as far as to get rid of the pain, to temporarily dull the pain. So thank you guys for your comments. but you know, as we know, it's a temporary fix, man. But for you,
Mhm.
at such a young age, you know, so with your parents gone now, where are you staying? Where are you staying now? You staying at the house then?
No, I was, well, I stayed at the apartment where both my parents died.
Mhm.
But my addiction after I lost my father got really, really, really bad. I lost the apartment. I lost everything that my dad left me. I lost everything my mother left me. I lost everything.
Now, are you
And
working? Where are you doing for a job?
selling drugs.
That was your sole income
Yep.
from like day one. So there was never. I know I heard you say that you helped work on cars or anything like that, but there was no mechanic. There was no.
Nope.
It was from the earliest memories. It was strictly selling drugs.
Yep.
Wow, man. What about? Well, we know what comes along with that. Besides, obviously, the worst scenario with an overdose, but also jail time.
Yeah.
Did law catch up to you?
The law caught up to me a couple times.
Tell
I
us
ended
about
up,
that.
I got arrested one time for a gram of heroin, that I had on me. I ended up going to jail on that. Spent a month and a half in jail. That was the worst experience because I was still using heavily at that time when I got arrested with that on me. So I was in jail detoxing hard. Couldn't sleep, cold chills. Couldn't get comfortable. My legs were restless. I couldn't. It was crazy. I ended up spending a month and a half in there. And when I spent the whole month and a half in there, I had no money on my phone. So I didn't talk to anybody for a whole month and a half of being in there. I had no money for commissary. So I had the 3 meals a day that I got. That was it. And I spent a month and a half in there before my court attorney, like the court lawyer,
Mhm.
even realized that I was in jail. It was a month and a half before he realized I was even in there.
Wow.
So you had no representation this whole time,
Yes.
man.
And the only reason why I think he found out that I was in there is because I had one of the other inmates help me write a letter to my lawyer and I mailed it out. And then like a couple days later, I get woke up at like 5:30 in the morning. Hey, we need to give you meds early because you have court today. What? I have court today?
You're like, I have a
So
lawyer.
right, right. I was like, oh, I have a lawyer and I'm going to court. Sweet. So I go to court and my lawyer's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know you were in jail. Okay. So he's like, all right, so we're gonna go up and he's like, I'm gonna get you out of jail today. So when you go back to the jail, you'll be able to get out today. So I was like, all right, so this right here is probably, it was in May when I got out, and the next month was my birthday. So I go to court. He says, I go in front of the judge. The judge is like, oh, well, time served, 15 days, $500 fine. I was like, really? I just spent a month and a half and you asked for 15 days. So, so I go to court, I go back to the jail and I'm waiting to get released. And the sergeant comes up to me and he's like, I'm going to let you know that you are not going to be going home today because we just ran your name and it came up that you had a warrant up for your arrest. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, why do I have that? I was like, I just went to court. And come to find out that the same lawyer that I went and seen that day is the same lawyer that put that warrant out for me.
Oh my God.
Okay, you
So
gotta
I
clear that up.
So I go back and the sergeant's like, oh, it's $1,000 bail. Wait a minute. I just sat here for a month and a half on $1,000 bail to go to court for them to tell me that I'm going to get out to, oh, you have a warrant for $1,000. So you're not getting out. You're going to have to spend the weekend in here and go to court on Monday.
What was
So,
what was the
so,
warrant?
unpaid fines.
Okay.
Unpaid fines.
Oh,
Okay.
So
okay.
I spend the weekend in jail. I go to court on Monday and I see the same judge that I seen just before and the same judge that put my warrant out. And I go to court and I said, so what is this warrant for? I said, I just seen you a couple days before this and you were going to let me out because I did my time and it was time served. He's like, oh, well, I didn't realize that I put that warrant out before I seen you in court.
Ugh.
So he's like, so this is what I'll do. He's like, I'll give you a credit at $200 because you spent the weekend in jail and I'll let you out. So at this point, the day that I get out of court is my exact birthday that I get out of court. I get out of jail.
Yeah.
And I got out of jail, and in jail, that whole month and a half that I spent in there, I told myself, when I get out, I'm not going to use again. I'm not doing this. I just went through detox through this whole time being here. I'm not doing it again. Well, I got released from jail, and as soon as I got released from jail, I started walking from the jail right to the drug dealer's house and got fucked up all over again. And I'm like, what was that all about?
The same day,
Mhm.
right when you got released.
Same day.
You know what,
Happy- yeah,
Peter?
happy
You hear
birthday.
that story so much. So much. You know, what about are there any other family members, friends, or anything like that that were trying to reach out?
Nope.
So what happens after this, Peter? You go from jail
Yep.
right to the trap house.
Yep.
Then what happens?
And then I start going back to doing what I was doing before, selling drugs, getting high, delivering my drugs to the people that I needed. And still had the girlfriend that was there when my parents both died. I was homeless with her on the streets for 2.5 years, living in abandoned houses, snowbanks, with a pillow, a blanket, and a backpack on my back for 2.5 years.
Whoa.
What about any type of, government help? What about any shelters or anything like that? Any intervention at all, or did you even try?
Nope.
Didn't even try. It was just selling drugs and living in snowbanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Phew.
So what else is? I mean, how you're just surviving like that, and meanwhile you still get. By this time, you still got that your son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Any
where's he at?
yeah, where's he at? In fact, yeah,
He
where's
lived with his mother.
so any contact at all? When's the last
Nope.
time? Have you had any contact now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, it was how long? When did you last see him?
Christmas. He came up for Christmas.
Oh,
Okay.
she's not in Maine.
He is in Maine. He's like 3 hours from me.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So you guys have some type of relationship then?
Oh yes. He
How did that-
he just turned 21 on the 17th of this month.
I know we're going backwards here, but how'd that come about that you guys even got that first meeting, that first reconciliation? How'd that go, or how'd that come about actually?
Well, before my parents died, my son, he was born when I was 15, so he was there all the way up until both of my parents died. So in between that, I was able to see him because my mother would take him all the time because he's her grandparent. So he'd spend most of the time with my mother and my father. So I got to see him a lot, but I didn't really start being a father to him until I went to rehab in 2018.
Okay. So 2018, you go to rehab.
Yep.
And did you?
And the only reason why I went to rehab is because the girl that I was with ended up going to jail for theft because we were stealing food from stores so we could eat. So she had so many theft charges from before that it was her third one, so it was a felony theft. So she went bye-bye. So I ended up being out on the streets by myself with a pillow, a blanket, and a backpack on my back. And at this point, I was living behind the local Walmart where I was living in that town with a beach tent, a pillow, and a blanket behind the Walmart living.
Mm-mm.
Man. So then at that point, you decide to take yourself over and go to rehab.
Yes.
So, I mean, with all this going on, I mean, so the resources obviously have always been there. It's just
Yeah.
choosing to use them or not. So at this point, is it just, I mean, did you really want to use it for rehab, recovery, or was this basically to get off the street for a safe place for a little while? Or did you get to that point where it's time?
I got to the point that it was that time because at that point, when I was living behind that Walmart, I've lost all my family. I lost my kids. None of my family wanted to talk to me. None of my family trusted me. None of them wanted to be around me. It was just the fact that I was myself with a beach tent, pillow, and a blanket. And at that point, I stopped stealing food from things, so I started not eating for myself. And at that point, I was probably 125 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So it finally come down to I have a cousin that me and her are close. We grew up together. We're like 6 months apart. And I reached out to her and told her, I was like, look, I am done. I can't do this anymore. I need the help. What can we do? And she come and talked to me. It was I think it was Easter, and she ended up coming to see me behind Walmart. She bought me an Easter plate so I could eat because she knew I haven't eaten. So she brought me the plate and she's like, let me go home, talk to my husband and see if we can get you at my house, get you to detox. We'll call rehabs and see what we can get. So I was like, all right. So I ate the plate, spent the night there. She comes the next morning. She's like, hey, I talked to my husband. He said, you can come to my house. We're going to stick you in my daughter's room. You're going to detox in there. And in the meantime, we'll call any rehabs around to see if we can get you into one. Well, at this point, I had no insurance. Like I had nothing. So half of the rehabs that I called did not want anything to do with me because I had no insurance or any mean to pay for it. So I ended up finding the rehab that Donald Blow went to, Serenity House. I had a family, the cousin that was helping me find rehabs. Her family member was already in the Serenity House going through rehab. So she already had those resources from that person. So she ended up reaching out to him and said, hey, look, I need him into rehab. Like, is there an open bed for him? And they're like, yeah, there's an open bed. When can he get here? And I got there as soon as I can. And I went there and I spent 5 months there, completed the rehab, and told myself when I was in that rehab, I said, well, if I want to stay clean, I can't go back to where I was living because I was born there, raised there. I knew every street corner that the drugs were on I could go to. So if I want to stay clean, I can't go back there. So in the 5 months that I was in rehab, I met a girl online, and the girl that I met had never done drugs in her life, never was around it, never smoked weed or anything. So I was like, oh, maybe this is a good relationship to go to. So I completed rehab. I moved out of rehab and I moved in with that girl up in southern, like Western Maine, up towards the mountains. And I moved up here with her as soon as I got out of rehab. And as soon as I got up this way, let me go back just a little bit. When I went into rehab, at the end of my drug use, I was doing 20 grams of heroin a day, 3 8-balls, and a gram of coke. And a gram of meth.
A day.
A day.
Ugh.
You're out partying the Stones, boy.
Honey.
Man.
And don't ask me how everyone around me that was doing the same stuff that I was, but not as much as I was overdosing, but I never did.
You know, it just
Mhm.
goes
I
to
don't
show.
understand. I don't understand till this day. I still don't understand how.
You know, we ask these. I've done them. I've done some shows where it's like the survivor's remorse. Why me? Why am I still here? I
Right.
like you. I still have those questions.
Mhm.
I told my story. My best friend, my brother, man. I crawled into his hospital bed, held him as he died in my arms from multi-organ failure, just like I did, and I drank more than him, and I would did all this stuff more than him, and I'm still here. So I get you. I do get you on that part. You know, so I mean, so you're in the Serenity House. You
Yep.
complete this program. Thank God.
Yep.
You meet this woman online. Now, is
Yep.
she coming to the rehab center to visit you?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yep.
she
Yep.
obviously, I was just gonna say, because obviously she knows your situation. You're going from
Yes.
someone who's never done drugs. So she, you know, comes down there, she meets you, you guys form a relationship,
Yep.
obviously,
Yep.
and you went literally from rehab right to where you are.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And I've been up here ever since. And soon as I got out of rehab and came up to where I'm at now, I got into the recovery community. The area that I was living in, they did a recovery rally every year. So I got involved in that, started doing volunteer work through that. I started going to the AA, NA meetings. I started putting myself out there into the recovery field. And then it just started working out that I met this person that was getting ready to open a recovery center in a town that needed it really bad. So I ended up moving to that town. I ended up working at that recovery center for 2.5 years, being a recovery coach in the state of Maine for people. So, you know what I mean? Like, I've put myself always into the recovery field to help give back, because my thing is when I get into recovery and started doing what I needed to do, God gave me a second chance. Someone else deserves that second chance, like God gave to me.
Mhm.
Amen to that, brother. Man, I tell you what, amen to that. And you can see Brandon here, who was a guest on the show. God has a big plan for you, Peter. He's using you right now by sharing this testimony and helping people. So, Brandon, thank you for that. But
Yes, thank you.
man, that's insane. You know, and the thing is, too, I mean, we still got to go back to from 2 years old until 14, the hell that you went through. And this is before the drugs and alcohol,
Right.
came into your life. Just the
Mhm.
physical, emotional, terror. So this is still an ongoing, battle with you. So I mean, it's great that you're helping people. It's great that what you're doing, but
Mhm.
as we all know, we come first. So
Right.
what are you doing right now to make sure that Peter's being taken care of?
Well, we'll just let you know the last year has been a really, really, really big struggle for me.
Mhm.
Back last year, February of 2024, I worked at a ski resort where I live. And I ended up breaking my leg working at that ski resort. To the point that I broke my tibia and my fibula, so I ended up having surgery done on that. And then 2 months after that, I had knee surgery done on the same leg that I broke. And to come now to the point that my doctors are telling me that I never can work ever again. To finding out that I'm going to see a back doctor on Thursday to figure out what my next step is, because they found a disc disease in my lower back. They found arthritis through my whole back. They found a curve in my spine. They found out that my tailbone's recently been broken. So I'm assuming I broke that when I broke my leg, but I was in so much pain in my leg, I didn't realize that my back was broke. And then I just found out that one of my bones that connects from your tailbone to your hip has moved into my nerve canal. So my depression the last year, has put a real damper on me because there's days that I just want to curl up in a ball and cry because I can't do the things that I want to do in life. All because of this break that I had a year ago. So what I do now for my recovery is I got almost over 7,000 people following on me on TikTok. So now what I do is I go on TikTok and do recovery meetings every Wednesday night over there on my platform. And it's not just for recovery, it's all recovery. And what we cover over there is we recover drug addiction, mental health, domestic violence, bullying, pretty much anything that's addiction to you, we cover it over there on the Wednesday night meetings. So that's what I do now for my recovery and to help others.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And because I've had people ask me a lot of times too about, well, man, you never say anything about going here, doing this, and all that as far as recovery or things that for me. And for me, I do it every day, all day, doing this, doing what I do, coming on here, doing shows, doing these shows with you, doing lives on my own, just me sitting in front of a camera. As you know, it's very therapeutic just to sit here by yourself and talking to a camera and the things that come out of our mouths, because there's no stress, there's no one's firing questions at you. You're speaking from the heart.
Right.
And I've had some of my best conversations, just me, just because you can't lie to yourself. You can try, but you can't. We've tried to lie to ourselves. You can't.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is like I'm doing what I'm doing on TikTok, but I also just I'd say about a week ago, I just had a newcomer reach out to me that's just getting into sobriety, and he's in the verge of losing his kids to the state of Maine. And he just reached out to me and asked me if I could recovery coach him and help him get on the right straight and narrow. So I've been doing that for the last week. I pretty much told him that I'm here to help him get through to where he needs to get. But the only requirement that I would like for him to do is to at least message me once a day, checking in with me to let me know how he's doing. And I will be here to help you through this as much as you would like me to help you.
That's beautiful, man. That's first of all very commendable for you to do that, but at the same time, Peter, it's keeping you sharp, it's keeping you focused, it's keeping you in check. So I mean, yeah, you are helping a lot of people with your meetings, with your TikTok. You're helping this gentleman here. But you pretty much answered it, man. I mean, by doing this, yeah, you're helping all these people, but it's keeping you on point, man. So that's awesome.
Yes.
So back to your son. You have a relationship. You said you saw him this past Christmas.
Yep.
How's that relationship with you guys?
It is awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, good to hear.
Awesome.
And you said that was it your sister that came to give you that plate behind that Walmart?
Cousin.
My cousin.
Oh, I'm sorry, your cousin.
Yep.
So what about as far as any other family members now seeing what you're doing, seeing that it's not just talk, seeing you in recovery now? Any reconciliation with the family at all?
Yes. My dad's sister. I have a really, really, really good relationship with her. She understands. She's seen me through my addiction. She's seen me through my rehab. She's seen me through my recovery now. She's also come up here to a couple of recovery rallies to do the recovery rally with me. So me and her really have a good relationship. She also understands what we've gone through because she's 25 years sober herself.
That's it. That's another thing I wanted to ask you is, as far as other family members, is there anyone else, obviously her being in recovery, are there any other family members that have been dealt with addiction?
I have my brother that sexually abused me. He's in recovery. He's got 2.5 years in recovery. I also have another cousin that I'm really close to. She just came up on 6 years of recovery. And then her husband just came up on 6 years of recovery. So I got a couple of people in the recovery.
And this is definitely a touchy subject, so you can go there or not.
Yep.
You brought up your brother's sobriety.
Yep.
What is the relationship or contact or anything as far as you and your brother?
With my brother, after I lost my mom and my father, me, my brother, and my sister all pretty much told each other we have us three left, and we all need to take care of each other. So yeah, I have a loving relationship with my brother, but in the back of my mind, I still have trauma from what he did to me.
Oh God, yeah. With this being brought to light, were there ever criminal charges?
No.
Well, we're gonna leave that alone. I mean, thank you.
And then we'll just say that that same brother that molested me, the son that just turned 21, he got molested by my brother too. And I did everything I was supposed to as a parent. I took him to the hospital, had rape kits done. I did all the things that I was supposed to do as a parent. And had criminal charges pressed against him. And if you really want my honest opinion, it is still sitting on the district attorney's desk as of now.
Well,
and nothing has come about it. So we'll just say that.
I think
God
I'm gonna
almighty.
really bite my tongue right now. There's a special place in hell.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna leave it at that.
And the thing too is, like, when that ended up happening, I had a lot of contact and at that time when it happened, my son lived with me at that time. So when all that came about, DHS made me look like the bad person because I didn't keep my kid safe. So my kid ended up getting taken from me.
Oh no.
Man, I tell you, the hits,
Just keep
the
on
hits
coming.
keep coming. That's part of life. But the whole point of it is every time you get hit, keep getting up. And my brother, you keep getting up. That is for sure. And now, not only do you have to do it for yourself, but also for your son as well.
Yep.
That's tough, brother. That is. How you feeling now? I mean, I know, with all this stuff going on, with your surgeries, with your back, with your pain and all that, that's another thing we can relate on. We won't go into that. I've had plenty, and supposedly need plenty more. But the one thing, if I can share anything as far as that goes, is I've had so many doctors tell me, you will never do this, you can't do that, and and these are people that I've met as soon they walk into the office, the room, talk to me for 10 minutes, and they're just told me what I'm going to do the rest of my life or not do the rest of my life.
Right.
So to that, I politely told them to go after themselves, because I will never let anyone tell me what I will and won't do. I mean, obviously you take care, number one, that's you, but your body better than anybody. So, that's, like I said, the only limits we have are the limitations we put on ourselves.
Right.
So, but I tell you, you've gone through so much, and we're so proud of you, man. I don't know. After the show, make sure you go through. There's so many comments about how proud, our family members are of you. The comebacks, what you're doing for other people. So make sure you go through and check these coming out for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of love.
One other thing that I forgot to say.
Sure.
Back 3 years ago, we'll go back 3 years. The girl that I met online when I was in rehab, is not the one that I'm with now. The one that I met on line in rehab 3 years ago. We were together for going on 5 years. And 3 years ago, we were going to get married. We actually had a set date and ready to go. 2 months before we were supposed to get married, she ended up passing away in the hospital.
Jesus.
Oh, geez.
Jesus.
What happened? I mean,
What happened?
She was an illness.
I'm not quite sure what happened. Basically, it was one day she went to bed. She woke up one morning and said that she didn't feel good. She was going to lay back down. And then a couple hours later, I'm calling the ambulance to have them come get her to bring her to the hospital. The doctors calling me and saying what was going on and explained it to them. They said, "Oh yeah, I'll call you back in an hour." And I get 5 hours later, I get she's on a ventilator. We're getting ready to transport her to Maine Medical Center.
Good God.
So I'm like, whoa, what happened from the time you told me that you were going to do more testing to she's on a ventilator going to Maine Med? So it all came down to that. We're not quite sure what happened, but she was living off a quarter of a brain.
Yeah,
She must have had a stroke.
yeah,
maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
Stroke, aneurysm, something.
Mhm,
But
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a cranial
yeah,
aneurysm.
that.
I dealt with that 3 years ago too.
Well, Peter, you
And I'm
have
still sober as to today. I will be 7 years sober in September.
Whoa,
I was just gonna
congratulations.
say that. I was just gonna say after all of the past,
Yep.
that's something. But what you just told me, the recap for this past year, and for you just to say that right now, man, that says so much about you, Peter. So, we are all so damn proud of you.
And
the way-
all of this, almost 7 years, is all my willpower and my higher power.
Mhm.
Hey,
That's right.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
My
This is
faith,
this is no meds, no Suboxone, no methadone, nothing. My willpower and my higher power has brought me this way.
and the thing is, people sometimes
And I will say, I don't condone anybody that needs to use the Suboxone or the methadone
not at all.
path. That
Mm.
if that's what helps them stay clean and sober and to live a sober life, then all the power to you. I
Without
just
a
know
doubt.
that every time that I've tried to get clean, I've used it for a drug for another drug instead of
Sure.
using it the way I needed it to. So I said, this time I'm going to do it myself and just do it myself.
I agree with you 100%. And I don't look down on anybody
Nope.
in any way at all. That is, because that's just it. Because I'll have people sometimes ask me, man, what's the best way, to get sober? What's the best way to stay sober? And I tell them all the same thing: your way, whatever
Right.
works for you.
Mhm.
And we've got our loved ones, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's happened to you or not, but our loved ones don't like seeing us like that, the pain and all that. So they're
Mhm.
like, well, so this worked for so and so's son had issues, or so and so's brother had issues. So you got to do this, or else, because nothing else worked. And unless you do this, you're going to fail. No.
Right.
If something doesn't work, there's always another way.
Yep.
The only time you'll ever fail is if you quit or if you give up. That's the only time you'll fail. But you nailed it, man. There is no wrong way. It's the right way, and that's your way. And
Right.
you are doing it. You are. I hope you're as proud of yourself as we are of you, Peter. So, that's a hell of a story, man. And thank you for what you're doing for the
Yes.
recovery world. And I know Donald, and I think there's a couple other people. What's the organization that Donald and you guys are part of up there? Isn't there? Can't remember the name of it now.
The Black Balloon Day.
Okay, there's
The
that. Is
Black
that the
Balloon
one?
Day, yeah,
Is
right.
that
Yeah.
every year you do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't help him with that, but I go and support.
Support that one. Okay,
Yep.
that's what he was talking about as well.
Yep.
And so that is just that's amazing. And
Well, and see, the funny thing is the girl that I'm with now, the person that you have coming on your podcast next week, Ryan Page,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that is my wife's brother.
Ah, all the family.
That's
Yeah.
like I always say, man, we are family here, and a lot of
Yes.
times it is family.
Yeah.
Man, well, Peter, I'm really, again, so happy that you're doing better. I know you're in the middle of some things now, but you know what? The man upstairs, he's going to take care of you just like he took care of the recovery and everything else. Your back, your hip, your leg, your knee, he's got you, man. He's got
Yep.
you.
Yep.
If he gets you out from living behind a Walmart, doing 20 grams of this, 8 balls of this, and doing all that stuff, he's going to help you with the rest of your life as well, man.
Well, that's what I say to myself every day. I was like, God brought me this far. He's not going to just drop me now.
Correct.
As I had a lot of people tell me, Manny, God has a plan for you.
Yep.
A couple people said, Peter, God has a plan for you as well.
Mhm.
So I tell you again, man, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Is there
Yeah.
any, as far as following you, you were talking about your TikTok? Where could people find you if they want to follow that?
They can find me at Team Recovery 9/21/18. And the 9/21/18 is my recovery date.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, man. Thank you again, Peter. I really
Yes,
appreciate
thank you
it.
for having me.
And please, keep checking us out, man. And
I will.
just your comments, support, motivation to pop on when we have other guests could really use your help as well.
Okay.
So until then, man, hey, it was great talking to you.
Yes.
And
Thank you
again,
for having me.
oh, you're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, man. Love
Stay
you,
strong, my
You take
brother.
care.
All right. Have a good night.
You
Bye
too.
bye now. Woo!
Man, I tell you, Peter Weber,
What a warrior.
man, sometimes when we start these out, usually start the same. So what was your childhood like?
Uh-huh.
And so they vary with every person. Obviously, some of them are going to be,
Fine.
it was fine. It was fine. Okay, well, how was it growing up? Fine. Okay, how was school? Great. How was high school? Fantastic. College could be better.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
23 years old, the floor, fell out. Or you're
Mhm.
going to get those ones. So how are things, growing up? Bam, 2 years old. And I was
Woo.
kind of, when he was recapping there at the end, like, he was talking about the brother and how they
That they had gotten together or
got together,
to
him
take
and the
care of one
sister.
another.
And I did hear that right. He
Yes, you
said
did.
that the same brother
Correct.
molested
His
Peter's
son.
I had to.
I mean, a lesser person would have committed murder.
Well,
mean-
that's what I was going to say. I have to keep remembering,
Whoa.
that one, I'm on camera and a mic.
Yeah.
But
What amazing restraint. Oh,
all I had to, all I could get out was there's a special place in hell.
mhm.
Um,
Well, you got some comments regarding that comment.
oh well,
People in agreement with you.
yeah, something like that. You always hear, when it comes to kids, yeah, especially towards the mothers, that
Mhm.
there's no love like a mother's love. Hey, I'm original mama's boy, and I will vouch for that. But then again, I'm not having any kids, but I'm a freaking human. I've got beautiful, nieces, nephews. I've got beautiful goddaughters and nieces. I just saw the other day, and just staring them. All three of them were sitting in front of me in church, and looking at the middle of at Hannah, I just had these flashbacks of holding this little pink blanket. She was like a couple weeks old, whatever, or maybe a month, holding her in my arms on my Harley. And now here she is, 22, some
Oh,
years old,
yeah.
beautiful as ever, just with her
World
other two
traveler.
sisters. Oh my God, with Renee and Madeline.
Mhm.
And I during Easter Mass, I'm just staring at them, and it was so nice to see them, but at the same time, there was so much anger because I missed them growing up because I was too busy getting shit faced. I was too busy being a piece of shit. And so it was so nice to see these three beautiful girls. At the same time, try not to beat myself up in church,
Mhm.
but you know what? I deserved it, and you can't change the past. You can work on yourself, but yeah, Peter, he just popped on here.
Yeah.
He just put, thank you, everyone. Well,
Yeah,
Peter,
well,
thank
thank
you.
you.
And
But I'm wondering, again, we don't know but the brother who's committing these things, what's his story? Because chances are, usually people who are molest kids
are
have
molested.
been molested.
That's why I was asking about the
But
parents.
it's like,
And
and you don't know. I mean,
but
it could have been another relative. It could have been
oh,
a neighbor.
exactly. It
you
could,
know,
it started out with a babysitter.
Yeah. Well, I worked as a SANE nurse, so which a sexual assault nurse examiner, not SANE nurse. I like to think I'm a SANE nurse. Don't ask Manny. But I did actually work I am a SANE nurse, sexual assault nurse examiner, and just it's too many kids. I saw too many kids.
It's a whole
Like,
nother
leave the
world,
kids
man.
alone.
When that's one thing. When I became a cop, I remember in the police academy, it was an adventure, man, going through the academy. I mean,
Mhm.
you're learning these lessons from these seasoned officers and TAC officers and training officers. And we're talking about so many individual things that we're learning. I mean, it's a very condensed career that you're jumping into. And I think I can't remember, it was 4 months, 6 months, whatever it was that the academy was. And just talking how, it affects you in so many ways, being a first responder.
Mhm.
And I went from, working police, also working EMS, man. I did both. And I remember one of the TAC officers talking about how certain certain calls will affect you differently because of personal experiences.
Mhm.
We've got people who maybe have had a loved one killed in a car crash. You may be called to a scene that's a scene where there's fatalities. You walk up to that scene and you have a flashback of your
Mhm.
personal situation.
And go off.
You may have someone in your family who died from an overdose, and our next call is at the trap house, or someone who OD'd, or the one that said you might be called to a domestic violence where the mother, the kids have all been beaten.
Yeah.
And my biological dad was a bit of a prick and very violent verbally and physically. And I remember going to scenes where there was a domestic call and getting there and seeing the women, with the physical injuries, with the busted up faces, the kids with the bruises and the scars and the cuts and the bleeding, and just trying to keep together and not
Mhm.
go off the deep end. And this is back before there were cameras and shit, body cam. I made sure that
We don't want to know.
there was always
don't tell
whoever
us.
the people that were involved in those, they were very aware that they were in custody by the time the a lot of them would like to resist arrest, and hey, that was fine. I had no problem convincing them
Assisting
otherwise.
them in
But yeah,
becoming
it's a
non-resistant.
tough, that's a very, very tough thing to
Mhm.
deal with. It's 2 years old, man. I mean, 2 years old, and God bless them. But thank you guys for your comments going
Yep,
through here.
It was a heavy night.
Donald Blow, come a long way since the first day at Serenity House. Donald, thank you for your support through all
Yeah.
this, and obviously with Peter.
You've been a good support for him.
And hey, Don, how are you? It's been a while since we've seen you. Hope all is going well with you. And there's some shenanigators. There's our Jacqueline.
Uh-huh.
There's Don again. John, the one and only John. Yes, it was definitely one amazing testimony. And of
Down
course,
below 12 gauge just for them. Oops.
yeah,
Ooh.
I'm telling you, it's hey. Brandon Hughes, people should never take innocence of it. You
Mhm,
are 100% right, Brandon. Brandon says people should never take the innocence of a child. Brandon, you can't put it any better than that.
Mhm.
Donald has known him for almost 7 years, Peter. So, Donald, not only proud of you and everything that you've done, as well as Peter. So, God bless both of you guys and for what you're doing. Leroy Ebron, we've been trying to go back and
Leroy's in
forth.
the house.
Yeah, I texted him and then he said to call, and he called, and I tried to call him back and it just rang and it didn't even go to a voice or anything like that. So I'm trying to get a hold of you, Leroy. Let's see. Great story, Peter. Follow Peter on TikTok.
Yeah.
Team Recovery 92118. Jack Lee, thank you for putting that up there, man. There's Leroy, Jack Lane. Jack Lane says, right, agree with the Suboxone. I felt was trading. It was just as addictive to me. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
to each their own. And for some, yeah, I mean, that's a blessing that it works for them and it works great for those people. Fantastic. Do what you got to do. And for others, it's just not for them. And John says, Megan died in April that year. We had a date set in June. DUI less than 5 blocks from home. Megan. John, I'm trying to remember when he was telling his story. Do you remember that? He was talking. This was John.
Well, he's coming back to tell us.
Yeah, he was. Remember, he was the BMX.
We've got part 2
Part
coming on the
2.
27th.
Trisha Gibson. How you doing, Trisha? And yes, that was definitely amazing. I hear. Yeah, John said same thing happened to me. Rest in peace, Megan. So Megan, definitely rest in peace. Oh, Dawn has good for you, Manny. Agreed. Don't believe the doctors. I've healed many tragedies by doctors' mistakes. And I'm not sitting here slamming doctors, but what I am doing is saying, take responsibility for your own life, and listen to God above and listen to yourself. First and foremost, because, like I've said, if I were to listen to mine 5 years ago, I wouldn't be talking to you guys because I'd be dead. All right.
And you're very much alive.
I'm alive.
Honey.
And
he's
people are like,
very
yes,
alive.
Manny, we know you are. All right. Jacqueline says, I'm right there with you, Manny. That's one right there that's hard to cope with. And that's talking about the molestations.
Yeah.
Leroy agrees. Special place in hell for them, for sure. Brandon Hughes, our brother. I love you guys, man. I tell you what, Brandon.
There's a lot of love in this house.
There is. This family is just full of. I caught myself. I almost said, "Man, this family is just so full of it." But as I was saying it, as soon as this family is so full of, damn it! Why didn't I say it? Oh, because everyone would have said, "Did you just really say that, Manny?" And then I could have said, "Yeah, I did. I did. I really did." Oh shit. What else? What's up, Donald? That's from Brandon. I think we pretty much got everyone.
Yep.
And here it was for Brandon. God has big plans for you. He's using it right now by sharing his testimony and helping people. Brandon, you're 100%. But thank you guys so much. And now for the updates, because I know we're coming on Wednesday.
Yeah, you actually have a day. Tuesday's a day off for you.
I thought at first I could have swore you said I had someone tomorrow.
No.
Sure.
The 22nd, you have a day off. When you said that, because I started looking at all my sheets going, oh my God, did I forget something?
When is Kevin coming on? Isn't he coming on soon? I thought it was this week. Do we have any? So Wednesday
we have Music and
Mayhem.
On
what about Thursday
24th, you're going to be on the show with Kalisha and Calico on their show.
I am.
Yes, at 10 o'clock at night.
That's this
Thursday.
Hey, okay. So there you go. Update. I will be on Pine Case Podcast with Kalisha and Calico this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Then on the 25th, on Friday, you have Kaisa Reynolds is coming on your show.
Kaisa from Talking Trash is going to be our guest this Friday at exactly 7 p.m. ish again.
And then Saturday. I mean, you need the day off because you've got something going every other
What's
day.
going on Saturday?
Randy Powers is coming on Saturday. And then on Sunday, John Toole. And on Monday, Ryan Page. Whew. Then you got Nick the
Who
following.
agreed to all this? Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
See, that's what happened.
And you wanted to fill up tomorrow. No, you need a day off.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's what I keep saying.
Relax.
It's like,
Take a breather. You're
what?
gonna, he'll be on anyway. You know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
He'll be-
you know,
it just won't be
on.
a formal on. It's just him, coming on.
That'll be messing with
Sharing,
Manny that I
yes.
keep
Messing
forgetting
with- yeah.
about.
Messing with Manny
It's like-
Vitale.
Yeah, because I was like,
You
okay,
can't say
well,
messing with Manny.
yes, messing with
Manny
Manny
Vitale.
and I
There's
keep
many
screwing
messing
that-
with Manny's on the.
Yeah,
the
because
world.
it's like, well, I feel like it's something different, and it's not. It's the same
It's just
thing
got
I'm
a title
doing,
now.
but we need a title for it because it is going on our platforms that we are sharing now.
Going out into the world.
and that's our brother
to
Skylar Ray
Educate the planet.
is in charge of our IT stuff as far as the
Mhm,
distribution
mhm,
of the content. So thank you, Skylar Ray, for that. Appreciate it.
mhm.
And still no update at all on our brother King Handsome. As
Oh,
far as
yeah,
any
there was
little
supposed to be a little
woe. There was supposed to be a little woe yesterday. I have not heard from King Handsome. I have not heard from Skylar as far as any woe babies. So we will keep you posted on that. It'll
Well,
be
baby woe will come when baby,
baby
woe is
woe.
ready.
baby woe.
Hmm.
All right, folks. Well, it's that time. My eyes are getting heavy, and that means I need some ice cream and cake.
And he's got it.
And I got to remember what oh shit, I got to go to the doctor tomorrow, and they're gonna say, "Hey, jump on the scale." Don't say no.
The ice
No.
cream and cake tonight's not going to make that big of a difference for tomorrow's scale.
That's
trust
how
me.
you know you put on 6 pounds. I got new shoes. You know, did you see these laces? These
They're
are new heavy
heavy-duty
laces.
laces.
All right, guys. Well, let's see if anyone snuck anything on here as I was buzzing through. Jacqueline says, sounds good.
Yeah.
Donald says, me too, ready for bed.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like a plan.
And awesome. Dawn says, thanks. Thanks for the show. I needed this tonight. And Jacqueline, Shenanigans will be there to support and have
The
fun.
shenanigators.
And Brandon fires back with hog talk.
Oh yeah, he wants you to be. Well, that's right.
Yep,
On
we
the
gotta
on the
talk.
Harley.
We have to talk about our hog talk, Brandon. We will talk about that. I still didn't forget about the feathers talk, Manny. The feathers talk. Well, I'm gonna have to.
I'm lost. With that.
I don't know if I want to know.
Leroy.
All right.
I think I remember you were having a conversation with him. I'll see if I can remember.
About feathers?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we'll continue
Yeah.
this conversation off camera. All right, folks. Thank you for being part of a very
Yes.
powerful.
Oh, by the
story.
way, yes, Donald. Thank you for Ryan. Will be there on the 28th,
Yes, you will.
but that's next week.
But
a
again,
week from today.
Peter Weber, thank you so much, and everybody for your very kind comments. Thank you, Leroy. We'll be talking to you soon to figure out what's going on with the feathers, and also to find out what's going on with anything else, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to be there in a couple of weeks, Leroy. Just so you know.
And say hello to our love, Carol.
Yes, tell Carol we said hello. Until
Love that
then,
girl.
guys, love you and keep fighting the good fight.
Good night, all.